My engagement with politics comes through being interested in football, interested in cricket, and interested in the history of who I am and Catholicism in India and Ireland. You've got to think about the history of this country, because people start saying to you by the time you're a teenager, why are you here? And you've got to find out what the answer is. And the answer turns out to be, if your parents are Indian and Irish, obviously you're British. That's the most British thing possible.
Yeah.
What's
Satnam Sangara said to me, we're here because you were there. And that applies in both places for you.
What's your credential? I'm not really Belgian, am I? I mean, why are you here? I'm obviously here. You want Indian Irish people in the NHS, and But I mean, I get there by the time I'm a teenager. But what's going on? I mean, I'm supporting. I really love the atmosphere of football. I start going all the time. Nobody's got any Asian or mixed race players at all, and nobody notices. I don't know if I noticed that Everton haven't got any black players either, but they're one of the late teams to get black players. And occasionally you play Arsenal, Aston Villa, they've got 4 or 5 black players and you haven't got any, and suddenly the atmosphere changes. And Liverpool sign John Barnes, the England star. He's the best black player in England. And suddenly the supporters I'm with are chanting Everton are white, to taunt the opposition supporters. So sort of 13, 14-year-old Sunder in his tracksuit is starting to think, what does that mean for me? I'm 6 or 7 years into this. It is an identity. It's a tribe. I'm supporting them. I'm too far in, but that is a different kind of racism than the kind you get in the primary school ground. So that's my introduction to anti-racism, is racism of that kind of football. This is sort of the year of Hillsborough as well. Fans' movements are starting. There are things to get involved with if you're a 15-year-old. So you're thinking, should I stop or should I stand my ground? And that's there. And also, my dad is much more interested in cricket than football, and he supports India. India not very good at cricket at this time. They beat the West Indies once. So suddenly when I'm 16, Norman Tebbit declares this thing that, if you want to fit in round here, you should support England, not India, about my dad. That feels quite rude. But the big problem for me is I do support England, because my dad's always thought I should support England. And I'm, the Daily Mail's in the house and I'm not necessarily convinced by it all. But suddenly my support in England has become a sort of bit of an endorsement of why Norman Tebbit doesn't like my dad. And so those kinds of things involve me in, I was just trying to, watch football and cricket, and suddenly you're at the heart of the identity questions of the late 1980s. My very, very first political action, actually, the chairman of Luton Town Football Club is a very strong right-wing Conservative MP who's very happy to be the hang 'em and flog 'em kind of voice, and they've got a plastic pitch, which I disapprove of. They ban all of the away fans, but they're going to introduce a scheme where you have to have an identity card to watch football matches. And so the very first thing I do is I'm hawking around a petition at Southend United. So I've moved to Essex, trying to get people to sign the football supporters petition against, having to have an identity card because we're all hooligans. So in a very sort of real way, politics kind of turns up when I'm just getting on with other stuff, and that you drift into a set of identities, but obviously history, identity, empire, race becomes
in the air.
By the time I'm a teenager, but I end up not. By the time I'm 18 or 20, the sort of question, can people like Sunder Katwala be British? I mean, we've won that argument.